Welcome to Tech Stack Overview, your guide to mastering the tools shaping the future of technology. Don't forget to subscribe for more exciting tech insights.
Hello and welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving into a really powerful way to cut through all the noise in the modern tech world. So let's get right into it and break down how this all works. So let me ask you this. Have you ever been really curious about technology, but just felt completely swamped, by the sheer number of tools and frameworks and platforms out there? It feels like there's a new one every single week. It can honestly feel like you're trying to navigate this massive, constantly changing city, but you don't have a map. Well, if that sounds even a little bit familiar, you are definitely not alone. But the good news is, there are frameworks for thinking. They're like mental maps, really, that are designed specifically to make sense of all of it. And that brings us to the whole point of today's Explainer. An approach to learning that's modeled by the resource Tech Stack Overview. It was created with one single goal in mind, to finally bring some clarity to this complex landscape by giving you that map. Its mission is actually a really powerful one, to create a place where you can see the whole tech landscape in one clear view. In other words, it's all about giving you perspective, so you're not just lost in the details. You can finally see the forest and the trees. And this is exactly how that perspective is achieved, by focusing on the big picture. The core philosophy here is this really important shift away from just jumping into complex code and instead moving toward context. The goal is to answer the big questions first. What does this tool actually do? Why is it even important? And maybe most crucially, how does it connect with everything else to form a real working system? Okay, so to provide that big picture, you're gonna need a pretty comprehensive map, right? So let's take a look at the specific areas this kind of guide covers, because seeing these categories really helps us understand how a modern application is built, piece by piece. And this just lays it all out so perfectly. You see, it starts with the absolute building blocks, programming languages like Python or Rust. These are basically the instructions you write for the computer. Then it moves to the environment where that code actually lives and runs. That's the whole world of cloud and DevOps. You can think of tools like Kubernetes as the master air traffic controller for your apps, making sure they all run smoothly, especially when things get busy. Next up, you've got frameworks and tools, which are kind of like pre-built kits that save developers from having to reinvent the wheel every single time. Then you have databases, which are basically the application's long-term memory. And finally, tying it all together, you have best practices, things like security and APIs, which are the rules and communication lines that hold the entire system together safely and efficiently. You see, it's a complete ecosystem. But, just covering a bunch of topics is one thing. It's the approach that really makes all the difference. This philosophy is all about prioritizing a genuine, deep understanding of the system over just memorizing a bunch of disconnected facts or code snippets. And this really highlights a huge contrast in how people learn. A traditional method might just throw you into some super complex React code on day one. But this big picture approach, it totally flips that script. It starts with the why, like, okay, we need a user interface. And then it explains how a tool like React solves that problem and how it needs to talk to a backend tool, say FastAPI, which in turn needs to pull data from a database. You end up learning the entire workflow, not just one isolated piece of the puzzle. The payoff for this approach is so clear. You finally learn how to connect the dots. So, for example, when a website is running slow, you can actually reason about it. Is it the front-end code? Is it a database query? Or is it maybe a cloud configuration issue? That kind of clarity saves a massive amount of time and helps you focus on what really matters, how all these pieces fit together to build something amazing. So who is all of this for, anyway? You might be wondering if this is a good fit for your needs. Let's see who can really get the most out of this way of learning. And the answer is, well, it's pretty much anyone with a curiosity for tech. It doesn't matter if you are a complete beginner just starting your journey, or a student trying to connect all the dots from your classes, or even an experienced professional who just needs to stay updated in this ridiculously fast-changing industry. This approach is designed to be valuable for everyone. And all of this leads to the ultimate goal: building a solid, broad, and deeply connected foundation in technology. It's not about becoming an expert in one single tool overnight. It's about creating a strong base that you can then build any specialization on top of. So it really leaves us with one final thought. Technology can feel like this vast, uncharted territory. But if you have the right map, a map that shows you the whole landscape, the major landmarks, and how they all connect, then the journey suddenly becomes an adventure. So the only question left is, what would you explore first?